Hello there, here is the second part of Japan and its culture series. I will tell you another 25 interesting facts. So let's start. 26. It is a hiker's paradise. Hiking is probably not on most people's minds when they come to Japan, but it actually has a huge collection of mountains and trails to hike. Plus, because of the geographical diversity of the country, there is a huge selection of different types of hikes to go on. You can challenge yourself both physically and mentally by hiking up the majestic Mount Fuji, hike a UNESCO-recognized series of pilgrimage routes, or go trekking on some of the trails in the Japanese Alps. 27. Mount Takao, a natural recreation area near Tokyo. If you're spending time in Tokyo, you actually don't need to go too far in order to get into the mountains of Japan. Mount Takao, Takao-san, is located only 50 minutes away from Shinjuku Station and will only set you back about 390 yen. Once you get there, you can hike up to the summit, which is close to 2,000 feet, or if you don't feel like hiking the whole way, you can also take the cable car, which brings you halfway up the mountain. From the top, you can see views of Tokyo, and on clear days you can even see Mount Fuji. 28. The 7th longest coastline in the world. Japan has the 7th longest coastline in the world, just beating out Australia, the United States, and Antarctica in the top 10. In total, the coastline of Japan spans 18,486 miles and includes cliffs, hiking trails, sleepy coastal towns, and some of the largest international fishing ports in the world. 29. Kitayamazaki Cliffs, the most famous of them all. The Kitayamazaki Cliffs is a 5-mile section of the Rikuchu coastline in northern Iwate Prefecture that has 650-foot cliffs stretched along the 5-mile section. The area is so famous because in 1999 it received first place in the Natural Resource Coast category in the National Tourist Resource Evaluation conducted by the Japan Travel Bureau Foundation. The best view of the coastline is from the Kitayamazaki Observatory, which has 3 different observation decks at different heights, so you can get different views of the coast from one place. 30. There are epic gorges in Japan. I definitely did not know this until I started researching, but Japan is home to several spectacular gorges that offer views of cliffs, forests, and nearby waterfalls. While you can go hiking in most of these gorges, at some of the other gorges, you can take a scenic boat ride or sightseeing train through them. Some of the most famous gorges in Japan include Takachiho Gorge, Kurabe Gorge, and Geibike Gorge. 31. There are massive limestone caves. As I have been saying, the geographical diversity in Japan is crazy. There is actually a huge amount of limestone caves strewn throughout the country, and is a great way to escape the summer heat or winter cold since the temperature in the cave stays constant year-round. These caves were formed millions of years ago and feature natural formations like limestone pools, streams, and underground waterfalls. A couple of the most famous limestone caves in Japan are Akiyoshido Cave, Abukumato Cave, and Ryuzendo Cave. 32. You can find beautiful marshland in the country. Japan has some of the most beautiful marshlands in the world that are especially popular to visit during the autumn months when the leaves change color. Hopefully, one day I can visit these marshlands during the fall colors, as you get to see not only the leaves change colors, but also the grass in the marshland. A few of the most popular marshlands in Japan are Ose National Park, Shinjagahara Marshland, and Kushiro Marshland. 33. Nachi, the tallest waterfall in Japan. Standing at a height of 133 meters, Nachi Falls is the tallest waterfall in Japan and is located in Nashikatsura, Wakayama Prefecture. It is ranked as one of the 3 most beautiful and greatest waterfalls in Japan and is also part of the Kumano-Koto pilgrimage, which I mentioned in number 26. 34. The 2003 pet boom of Japan. Starting around 2003, pets became more and more popular in Japan, and by the year 2009, there were close to 6 million more cats and dogs than children in Japan. This boom also has a reported dark side, though, as many people who were not 100% ready for a pet in their life decided to get one, and then shortly after decided the pet was too much and gave it to a shelter. Because of this, in 2010 a reported 500,000 dogs were put to death in public animal management centers in Japan. 35. Japanese trains are extremely punctual. Trains in Japan are so punctual that it's scary. At the same time, it makes me wonder in awe how they do it, because there are so many different train lines that run throughout the country on a given day. In fact, in 2017, the Tsukuba Express line between Tokyo and Tsukuba made global headlines when the management of the train line apologized publicly for leaving the station 20 seconds early. 36. Japan has sand dunes. Yes, surprisingly Japan also has a dune, which means they pretty much have everything you would ever want in a country. All jokes aside, the largest and only dune in the country is the Totori Sand Dunes, which is 9 miles long and 1.5 miles wide. Over 2 million visitors come here annually to explore the dunes. There are also other activities here to take part in like sandboarding, paragliding, camel rides, a museum to visit, and even taking the chairlift up to an observation deck. 37. Hikikomori, a population who is withdrawn from society. There is a population of mostly men in Japan, known as Hikikomori, who have completely withdrawn from society and for the most part, haven't left their rooms for at least 6 months to 1 year. In the 2016 Japanese census, they counted about 540,000 people who would be considered Hikikomori, but it's hard to say because most of these people tend to want to stay under the radar. Even though the term is Japanese, there are Hikikomori in other parts of the world too, like the US, Brazil, and Oman. 38. There was a ban on dancing after midnight. Interestingly, there was a ban in Japan on dancing after midnight or 1 a.m. in bars, clubs, and other public venues that lasted from 1948 to 2015. This law was first put into place during World War II because many of the dancing venues during the U.S. occupation of Japan was actually a front for prostitution. 39. The country has a huge number of onsens, hot springs. Because of Japan's geographic location and its volcanic activity, the country has about 2,300 onsens to choose from located all around the country. It is said that the water from these hot springs can treat a variety of things including rheumatism, hypertension, fatigue, and chronic skin conditions like eczema. I was lucky enough to have stayed at a ryokan in the Lake Kawaguchiko area, so I got to experience a private onsen while I was there. Hopefully, I can make it to some other onsens on my next visits to Japan, as I've always wanted to try the ones in Hakone out. 40. The oldest onsen is 3,000 years old. Dogo Onsen, located in Shikoku Island, is the oldest onsen in all of Japan with a history of more than 3,000 years. For all Miyazaki fans, it is said that Dogo Onsen is the inspiration for the famous bathhouse in the movie Spirited Away. In 1994, this was the first public bathhouse in Japan to be designated as an important national cultural asset, and in 2009 it was awarded 3 stars by the Michelin Green Guide for Japan. Visitor tip: the renovation of Dogo Onsen started in January 2019. So the second and third floors are closed. The first floor Kami no Yu area is still open, though. 41. Onsens in Japan were discovered by ancient hunters. It is believed that the hot springs of Japan were first discovered by ancient warriors and hunters. According to legend, as these hunters tracked the animals they wounded, they would often see the animals head towards these hot springs because the animals knew the power of the onsen's water to heal their wounds. 42. Only 1.7% of land in Japan is pastures and grassland. When you think about it, this isn't really that surprising, yet it surprised me. I would have thought the Japanese countryside would have more grassland, but because the country is so mountainous, forested, and the cities so developed, pastures and grassland only make up a small proportion of the country's geography. 43. Only 12.7% of the land is okay for agriculture. Related to the above, since Japan is largely covered by mountain ranges and volcanoes, 68% of Japan, there is not much land for farming, and only 12.7% of the land is okay for agriculture. Most of the land that is able to be farmed is found on the coasts of the island or in the river valleys between the mountains. 44. The Shinano River is the longest river in Japan. While there are many rivers in Japan, most of them are shorter. The Shinano River, on the other hand, at 228 miles, is the longest in the country, which is located on Honshu, the main island in Japan. At a length of 228 miles, this river has about the same length as the Severn River of England, which is the longest river in Great Britain. The river's source is from the Japanese Alps in Mount Kobushi, and from there it flows into the Sea of Japan. 45. Lake Biwa, the largest lake in Japan. The largest lake in Japan is Lake Biwa, a freshwater lake located in Shiga Prefecture and just to the northeast of Kyoto. The lake covers an area of 258.8 square miles, which is huge when talking about Japan, but when you compare Lake Biwa to other large lakes in the world, it's actually quite small. For example, the Great Salt Lake in Utah covers an area of 1,800 square miles, and the Great Lake Superior covers a whopping area of 31,700 square miles. The name of Lake Biwa is believed to have been established in the Edo period because of how closely it looked like the Japanese instrument called the biwa. 46. One of the lowest unemployment rates in the world. Although the work-life balance in Japan isn't the best, The country does have one of the lowest unemployment rates in the entire world. The current unemployment rate in the country is 2.4%, which isn't so low when you compare it to Cambodia and Qatar, which have an unemployment rate of 0.30% and 0.60%. However, when you compare it to the world's largest economies like the US, China, Germany, and the United Kingdom, you get a sense of how low it is. Unemployment rate in the world's largest economies. Japan 2.3%. China 3.67%. United States 3.8%. United Kingdom 3.8%. 47. Iswan Typhoon, the most devastating typhoon to hit Japan. Every year many typhoons do hit Japan, but the most devastating in the country's history is the Iswan Typhoon of 1959, which cost more than 5,000 lives. The typhoon is also known as Super Typhoon Vera, and it is actually the third most deadly natural disaster in Japan during the 20th century. Only two other natural disasters, the Great Kanto earthquake in 1923 and the Great Hanshin Awaji earthquake, claimed more lives. 48. Great East Japan earthquake, most powerful earthquake to hit Japan. The Great East Japan earthquake is also known as the Tohoku earthquake and tsunami. Although this natural disaster wasn't the biggest earthquake that hit Japan when looked at by the number of lives lost, it was the most powerful in terms of magnitude. The Great East Japan earthquake struck on March 11, 2011, at a magnitude of 9.0, and it was reported to be felt all around the world. After the earthquake was over, more than 120,000 buildings had been destroyed and the estimated damage totaled about $199 billion. 49. Oldest company in the world until 2006. Kongo Gumi Company Limited, an Osaka-founded and based construction company that specialized in building Buddhist temples, was actually the oldest running company with over 1,400 years of history before it was purchased and absorbed by the Takamatsu Construction Group in 2006. It's crazy to think about, but the company was founded in the year 578 AD and took part in building some of the most famous buildings in the Osaka and Kyoto area, including Osaka Castle and Horyuji in Nara. 50. Japan has the Shindo scale for measuring the strength of earthquakes. Another interesting thing about earthquakes in Japan is how they measure them. While many parts of the world will report on the earthquake's magnitude, Japan reports the strength of the earthquake using what's called the Shindo scale. Thank you very much for watching. Please do not forget to subscribe to our channel. See you in another video.